Typhoon fighter from 6th Squadron based at RAF Lookers and the fanfare salute to the stands mark the opening of the 2011 Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. Now the massed pipes and drums cross the drawbridge to the tune The Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo, written by Captain Stephen Small, Director of Army Bagpipe Music and Highland Drumming. This year the bands featured are the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, the 1st Battalion Scots Guards, the Royal Scots Borderers, the Royal Highland Fusiliers, 1st and 2nd Battalions of the Royal Regiment of Scotland, 1st Battalion of the Royal Irish Regiment, 1st and 2nd Battalions, the Royal Gurkha Rifles, and the Royal Air Force. From overseas, the Royal Caledonian Society of South Australia, the Royal Army of Oman, and the Cross Swords from Germany. The March of the Cameron Men gives way to the slow march, Rue Vaternish. In the garb of old Gaul. The Galloway Hills. Dark lowers the night. And to end this set, Kelsey's Wee Reel. Drum Major Brian Alexander, the senior drum major in the British Army, in his last tattoo gives the command for the massed pipes and drums to continue with a march, written to mark this, the 90th anniversary of the Royal British Legion in Scotland. And as they form a Celtic cross, they play the Strathspey Monimus. Fingal's Weeping. The drum salute, stoke the boiler, leads us aboard the steam train to Malay. The jig Asturia. And the jig of slurs. The gypsy dance. The massed pipes and drums. And now for something completely different. The band of the Royal Netherlands Army Mounted Regiments uphold the traditions of the Nederlands Wielrijders Music Corps, the Dutch music corps of the Bicycle Regiment, as they take to the Esplanade in replica First World War uniforms, bikes and instruments. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And of course they are subject to the usual occupational hazards associated with the bicycle. In a cycle-friendly country like theirs, where there are more bikes than people, they've had a bicycle regiment since 1894. The first music bicycle corps was founded in 1917. Help is at hand from the pump major. And this is the bicycle song. Sometimes we bike 1 hour or 10 on silken tires so slick. Of all the mounted military men, we are the ones who are quick.
Ho! Tegen! Voorwaarts!
Whoops. That close-up was maybe a wee bit too close.
March!
The music corps last appeared in Edinburgh in 2002 and are back in formation with that perennial favourite, Tulips from Amsterdam. And now they're on the high road to Loch Lomond. Maybe safer on the low road. It's a dangerous game, this musical cycling. Emergency treatment required. Well, they'll soon have that one back on the road again. And this one, he's hitching a lift on a bicycle that's suddenly built for two. The Banda dos Fuzileiros Navais Brazil, the Brazilian Marine Corps martial band, whose motto is Ad Sumus, here we are. And indeed, here they are. The first commander of the Brazilian Navy in the 19th century was a Scot. Their Highland bagpipes, however, were only presented in 1951 by a former British ship which was integrated into the Brazilian Navy. As they perform the familiar tune Aquarela, or Watercolour of Brazil, they break ranks for a little samba. Coming from Rio de Janeiro, they're probably not used to dancing in the tropical heat of a Scottish summer. Still, it's one way to keep warm. Brazilian Marine Corps Martial Band spell it out. The Royal Navy is the lead service at this year's tattoo. The oldest ship in Scotland, HMS Unicorn, is berthed in Dundee, but her figurehead takes pride of place here on the Esplanade. When she was launched in 1824, Unicorn, a sailing frigate, was fast and heavily armed with 46 guns. A Royal Navy 18-pounder gun was powerful, able to punch a hole in 3 feet of solid oak. The famous Royal Navy field gun display first took place at the Royal Tournament in 1907 and has been a popular naval spectacle ever since, encouraging intership and interport competition. Crews from HMS Neptune, based in Faslane, and HMS Raleigh, based in Plymouth, will now compete in this display. Dating back to the Boer War in 1900, the Gun Run, as it became known, commemorates the actions of a naval brigade who dragged specially adapted guns overland to relieve the siege of Ladysmith. This version of the display has been adapted to suit this location. The teams race down the Esplanade with the gun and the limber carrying the ammunition. They exchange limber wheels with gun wheels. And fire 3 rounds each. They then head back up the Esplanade and do the same thing halfway up, before the run home. The guns weigh about 1,200 pounds, and each of the wheels 100 pounds. Just hope these guys have had their porridge. It's a home win this time for HMS Neptune, but clearly it's the taking apart, not to mention the putting together, that counts in this race. And they leave to the official march of the Royal Navy, Heart of Oak. Nothing more appropriate. It's 25 years since a German military band performed at the tattoo. This particular band, the Gebirgsmusikchor, are based in Garmisch-Partenkirchen in the Bavarian Alps. They're very proud of their Bavarian traditions, so much so they've transformed Edinburgh Castle into an alpine chalet. That cap badge is an Edelweiss. Military music gives way to the more traditional image of German folk music. The spoons being played on the thigh of bandleader Major Christian Prucker. Lederhosen, leather breeches, are still worn in Bavaria and are practical garments, more durable than cloth trousers. Ideal for everyday tasks such as dancing and thigh slapping. Or chopping wood, as demonstrated in this Tyrolean wood chopping display. Strictly Come Chopping, perhaps. More work as the band play the Anvil Polka. Accompanying the heavy metal music, some men with whips. The whip, or Gwazzelsneuzer, was traditionally used to generate loud sounds, to waken the good spirits. Apparently the whip is the only musical instrument that actually breaks the sound barrier, and was the first human invention to do so. The German Mountain Army Band. Members of the Tattoo Highland Dancers and Total Dance Company from West Ulster take to the Esplanade for this display choreographed by former world champion dancer and tattoo stalwart Billy Forsyth. The theme celebrates Scotland's rich fishing history and its traditions. The Tattoo Highland Dancers and Total Dance Group from Ulster. Having ditched those pesky bikes and donned their historic cavalry uniforms, we welcome back the band of the Royal Netherlands Army Mounted Regiments. This musical selection takes us to the cinema, the castle walls becoming a movie screen, providing an atmospheric backdrop to some familiar and rousing tunes. The theme from Harry Potter. Mussorgsky's Night on the Bare Mountain, as featured in Disney's 1940 film Fantasia.